Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Monday the 30th. It's Monday the 30th of December, 2024. Welcome to Morning Brew and Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. There comes my name. It comes up on the screen. It's brilliant, that, isn't it? Well, hi to Martin and Katrina and Roxy Rules and to Veg Pie. Sorry for everyone who kept waiting this morning. But in a way, I'm actually early. Well, earlier than I would have been had there not been an Amazon delivery this morning, which woke me up at about 9:15. So, designing the thumbnail and doing the blurb and getting everything set up and fixing a couple of problems and making myself a cup of coffee. In 20 minutes. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. Anyway, right. So if you'd like to join Russell and Benjamin and Veg Pie and Sarah Davis and Billy Kershaw in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Just... and there'll be, you'll have that. Or you got to wait for a minute, and then you can start writing what you want. Right, let's get into it. 2025. What has 2025 got in store for us? Are you excited? Are you excited about 2024? Because I'm not. I'm there's trepidation, and then there's dread, and then there's 2025. It looks pretty grim, pretty bleak. GTA might come out. We might get GTA 6. Maybe. Perhaps. Dunno. Might do. He's going to got his PJs. These aren't my PJs. This is a nice little top that I got bought for me for Christmas. New Year's Eve. Terrifying, says Jenny. We might actually get GTA 6. We'll get the final season of Stranger Things. Maybe. That's finished filming. That's as much as I've got for the good news. Here's the bad news. Trump's second term. Trump is going to be leader of the free world again. And he was bad enough last time. His actions and their consequences led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of stupid Americans who thought that lockdown was for wimps, didn't want to wear a mask because they were for wimps, although a lot of them should just wear a mask. Not to stop the spread of COVID, just because it's so ugly. And then you had the problem that they wouldn't get vaccinated because they thought it was a big conspiracy and that Bill Gates was trying to put microchips inside them and trying to influence politics. Unlike Elon Musk, who is just influencing politics and wants to put microchips in everyone's brain. And by the way, people who support Elon Musk, I've got a question for you. And it's a question I normally reserve for, I don't know, people who smoke and go, animal testing is cruel, and then smoke. And you go, you do know that, like, literally millions of animals, beagles, dogs, there's dogs that we like, beagles, they've died testing cigarettes because they put chemicals in them to make it more addictive. They did that. Yeah, so being against animal testing and smoking is kind of a bit of cross purposes, but there you go. And again, with Musk, it's like if you're a supporter of Musk and you're a supporter of someone who took $190 million away from childhood cancer research, which is a really gobshitey thing to do. You've also got to consider the fact that a fuckload of chimpanzees have died in his testing labs, putting chips into their brains. Just killer of chimpanzees. That's Elon Musk, killer of chimpanzees, because he wants to put microchips in that in all our brains. Which sounds great, all those movies where there's a microchip in someone's brain or TV shows or whatever. They always end so well. We've got potential of mass deportations, which is what Trump is threatening, and also tariffs. For some reason, the ability to set tariffs was given to the president because Congress wasn't responsible enough to have that power. So that power was taken from Congress in the 1930s and given exclusively to the president, pretty much. Yeah, tariffs on trade. He's also threatened to invade 4 countries so far, Mexico, or at least declare war on Mexico, Canada, Greenland and Panama. Not wouldn't have been my top 4 to go on a daft military adventure against, but the guy's not very smart. He just listened to the last person who he spoke to. He has the memory of a goldfish. He has the morals of a street rat. He has a cut snake. He has the morals of a cut snake. He is A lizard. Sorry, I've said that because I know one angry pagan's going to get pissed at me if I say that. Rats are immoral. Immoral in any way. Hyenas. I mean, just, yeah. It's not great. It's really, really not great. What we're facing down the barrel of, and I know there are people who are like, "Oh, nobody will be restrained in some way by Congress." Good luck with that. That's all I got to say. You don't know the power of the dark side. I mean, the presidency. And oh, by the way, R.I.P. Jimmy Carter. One good thing that's happened as a consequence of the death of Jimmy Carter is that all the flags are going to be at half-mast on Inauguration Day, which I feel is very appropriate. Very, very appropriate. As anyone who's seen my recent YouTube video will be able to attest. He's going to have these tariffs, going to have these mass deportations, and he's talking about, deporting 17 million people. That's never going to happen. But, you don't have to deport that many. 800,000 would be horrific. And he's talking about if there's one person in the family who needs to be deported, then he's going to deport all of them because he wants to get the families together. It's doing a good thing, really. But I'll say this again. A lot of these countries do not want these people back. So they're not going to let the planes land. They're not going to get clearance to land the planes. So what are you going to do? Crash the plane? Land in another country? They're not going to want you. Make an emergency landing next door? Great. You're not going to let the people clear the airport. You're not going to let the plane leave empty, leaving 300 people in your country that you don't want. It's not going to happen. Which really terrifies me, actually. The good news is that it's very difficult to throw people out of commercial jets because they're too big. And the way the doors work, you can't really open them when you're in the air. They work as plugs. However, at the same time, it is a worry. It is a worry. We've also got the issues. That's a bad way of putting it. The horror show that's been going on in Ukraine for the last 2.5 years, nearly 3 years now. 3 years at the end of February next year, and Putin has now been empowered because Trump has won, and Trump is so far up Putin's arse. He's stumbling around in the dark most of his life, most of the time. Now the thing is with Putin and Trump. Now Trump seems to be drunk on power, or maybe ketamine or something. I don't know what he does. But he'll go online and he'll send tweets out slagging everybody off. Everybody. Mark Rubin, that guy. What's his name? The guy down in Florida. Rick Sanctimonious. Is it Rick? Something like that. I don't know. Ronald Sanctimonious. And then, Ted Cruz. Whoever he doesn't particularly like. I mean, he's probably had the pop at Marjorie Taylor Greene and all that lot. At some points, someone comes in his sights, and not just the usual suspects, not just the Democrats and the people he wants to kill. I mean, put in jail. I mean, kill. Put in front of a firing squad, like he's threatened to do to Liz Cheney. I'm talking about just like his mates and stuff, people who worked for him. He slags them off online. That's what he does. Here's the thing: he's never slagged off Putin. He's never insulted him. He's insulted. He's insulted Xi Jinping. He's insulted Kim Jong-un. He's insulted British prime ministers, French prime ministers, French presidents. He's insulted Canadian prime minister. He's insulted prime ministers all over the world. But here's the thing. He's never, ever, ever said anything negative whatsoever about Putin. Which is, how can I put this? Terrifying. There's going to be a likely push for negotiations, a peace deal which will involve Russia keeping Crimea and a vast swathe of Ukraine the size of the United Kingdom that the Russians have annexed and are torturing the people who live in that area, the Ukrainians. They're abusing the children, sexually abusing the children who live in that area. putting them off to families of psychopaths who get to do whatever they want to those poor little kids from Ukraine. And the world just seems to go, oh yeah, well that's all right though, innit? Because, there might be Nazis. I don't know. I don't really follow the news, in Kyiv for some reason, even though the president is Jewish. And at the time of the invasion, the prime minister was Jewish as well. So, I'm pretty sure they weren't Nazis, but whatever. Whatevs. There's the potential of a wider European war spilling out because of this. Putin feeling empowered that he's taken a big chunk of Ukraine, might want to go after a little chunk of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and they'll say, hey, we're in NATO. Come on, everyone. 1 for all and all for one and all that jazz. And Trump will go, no. We're not doing that because I'm a gobshite. Yeah, that might happen. So that's really, really not great. European governments are expecting Trump to force Ukraine to make concessions and give Putin what he wants. I really hate Trump, and I really hate the people who voted for him, because they know exactly what they've done. You can't even say, oh, they're just kids. They, mentally, they don't know what they've done. They know exactly what they've done. They saw his first term as president and they liked it. They thought it was great. Not because he did anything. He played golf most of the time. But the things he did do, like the Muslim ban that got struck down as unconstitutional, that won't happen again. I mean, the Muslim ban might happen again, but it won't get struck down as unconstitutional this time. People saying, oh no, the law and the courts will protect us. Yeah, they won't. No, they won't. Grow up. Middle East. Now, this is the one for me that just, drives you up the wall. People in America who didn't vote for Kamala because of her stance on Gaza, which was a stance where they were supportive of Israel, but they wanted peace. And they've decided not to go for that, and instead they've gone for the option B, which is Gaza gets wiped out entirely, razed to the ground, destroyed, and everyone there killed. Okay. I have very strong feelings about that. And people going, oh no, I can justify my vote for Jill Stein or for fucking whoever. By saying this, they would have done the same. The Democrats, no, they really wouldn't. The Democrats, love them or loathe them. I think people, feel a little measure of each. Both. They are not, generally speaking, genocidal maniacs. Trump is. Trump has no empathy. Trump is a psychopath. Trump will kill, and kill again and not care. One of the last acts as president that President Biden has done, was commuting death sentences, which the right-wing press have said that he's released all these dangerous prisoners. He hasn't. They have had their death sentence, the federal death sentence, commuted to a life sentence. Trump, on his way out of office in 2020, he did the opposite of that. He went on a killing spree, signing the death warrants of dozens of people on death row because he likes killing people. So what does Trump do? He likes killing people. He likes chumming up to crazed dictators, nutters, lunatics, despots like Netanyahu, also fellow criminals. He doesn't have much regard for human life in general, just doesn't really give a shit how many people die. So, those combination of factors together, and you've got yourself a bloodbath in Gaza. Yeah, and I'm pretty damn sure that Netanyahu will move to annex Gaza and the West Bank next year, and the US, which will be the country that should have been able to say, hey, come on, that's a bit much. They won't do anything. Trump will go, no, it's fine. This is the guy who moved the capital, as far as America was concerned, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, despite knowing how, well, he probably didn't know. He just does stuff. He's thick as pig shit and evil. So, he suffers no consequences from anything in life. That's the thing about Trump that you have to understand. Like, nothing he does has any consequences. It's a bit like handing Ted Bundy a nuclear weapon. Oh, no, actually, the codes to all the nuclear bombs. A guy who just loves to kill, doesn't care, He's too stupid to understand the issues the world is facing. I might have to stop in a moment and go and get myself a glass of water because I am still very much under the weather. But I'll try to do something first. I don't know where Kat is at the moment. I might be able to send her a message say, please bring water. But before I do that, I'm going to say a big thank you to Questionable Absanity. Thank you very much to Questionable. You're very, very good man. Random off-topic percentage. Random off-topic quiz. Oh, thanks for that. I love it when people derail what I'm talking about with super chats. Continue to do so as long as you pay at least £5. What percentage of atmospheric microplastics come from A, tyres, B, clothing, C, other to the nearest 5%? What percentage of atmospheric microplastics come from tyres, clothing, and other? If you want to play Questionable Insanity's game, that sounds like fun. The percentage, I would say, from tyres, probably, I'd say 50%. Clothing, I'd say 45%, and other 5%. I think it's like that. Just thinking about it, just for a little bit. Because atmospheric microplastics, not the stuff in the sea, which is mostly fishing tackle and cigarette butts. There you go. Hope you're feeling better soon, Graham. I hope I'm feeling better soon. I was going to go to Liverpool for New Year, but I just don't think... I don't think I can drive. I don't think either me or Kat can drive all the way to Liverpool today. And apparently we're going to have a massive snowstorm over New Year. So I might just end up staying here, which is a bit shit. I was gonna compose the quiz, the big fuck off quiz of the year, which we're going to do tonight. I was gonna put that together in the car on the way to Liverpool, but I might just have to sit on the couch with there you go. So sent an SOS to Kat. Bring water, please. Kisses. Yeah. Sorry, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, going to Liverpool. Yeah, I think I'm just going to be on the couch with a cup of cocoa. Right. Anyway, so God, that was just the politics side of it. We've got a load of other stuff to look forward to. The AI bubble is about to burst. There's these tech firms have put loads and loads of money into AI with uncertain returns. Yeah, AI looks shit. It still looks shit. It looks unnatural and uncanny valley and shit. This is a huge problem with AI. They go, look what you can do with you can type things in and then you can see it as a movie. And it's like, that's great as an animatic. It's great as a storyboard if you want to show a scene from a film that you're going to film yourself. But to actually try and use AI to make footage, it looks shit. It does. I mean, on the surface, it looks good, but it makes people feel uneasy because it's all in the uncanny valley. It is all in the uncanny valley. The physics just don't work because there's no understanding of context. And I've said this before about modern architecture. Sorry, AI. It has no sense of context. It has no sense of the environment in which it exists. It has no understanding of why things are the way they are, i.e., AI, so-called art, generative images, doesn't understand that hands are supposed to have 5 fingers. It just doesn't think that that's an important thing. You know, what's important to that program is to kind of look like human fingers, you know, kind of look like a human face, kind of look like human ears, but then on closer inspection they don't, and that lands you in the uncanny valley where you have characters in a film or in a picture that look close enough to be human, close enough to be a real photograph, but there's something off. And your brain picks it up and goes, there's something off about that picture. Yeah, it's not the lack of eyebrows or the fact they've got 17 eyebrows. But that, adds to it all. What we are going to see happening, and I'll come on to this a bit more in a bit, is if the AI bubble bursts, because there's not, is there ways of making vast sums of money out of AI? I mean, Google now, you type something in, it gives you a bunch of bullshit at the top of the screen, the AI generated result, which is like, in my experience, it's 50-50 whether that AI generated result is correct or not. It's pulled it from a website. Oh my God, no one can make websites. If only people could just write what they wanted on the internet and have people believe it. That would be mad, wouldn't it? Hey, imagine if you could write anything you like on the internet and have AI believe it. Yeah. Oh shit, that's what happened. And then you've also got the Musk Factor, the muskrat, who is currently going to war with MAGA, which is hilarious. But at the same time, Trump is backing him. And this fusion of government and tech is a bit of a worry. Because the tech oligarchs, the tech bros of Silicon Valley are, first of all, skittish, weird knobheads who, shouldn't really be allowed out of their mom's basements, never mind running the world. But also they're a little bit, how can I put this? Psychotic, generally speaking. They pride themselves on their luck, their expertise. I didn't mean luck. I meant expertise, obviously, at spotting gaps in the market. And someone said this about Musk, and I'm like, yeah, but he's so rich. This is a Nepo baby who went to a private school in Pretoria, whose mum and dad owned a fucking emerald mine in, Southern Africa in the time of apartheid. So you can imagine what the working conditions were like in this emerald mine. It was invested in lots of companies that have gone nowhere. Hyperloop being a prime example. And one of the things that we're probably going to see in the next year is the scrapping of, say, for instance, the high-speed line between LA and San Francisco. Something that was so needed in America, but it represents a threat to the oil industry because they need to sell, aviation fuel. It also represents a threat to car manufacturers. And what's Elon Musk? Oh, he's a car manufacturer, isn't he? I mean, they're electric cars, but they're still cars. And they don't want people getting off the freeways. They don't want people to not be sitting in traffic for 17 hours a day. They want that. That's the life that they have mapped out for everyone who's not them. Because they have private jets. They can just go around anywhere they want. And if you try and map where they're going, they'll sue you. They'll sue you. I'll sue you in England. Person who's mapping my flights, says Elon Musk. Even though he's all about free speech, except when it's got nothing to do with him. Except when it upsets him, or whatever. And we're probably going to see a merger, I reckon, between X and Truth Social. I can see that happening. Truth Social's been floated on the stock exchange, and it's like Tesla stock. It's like a meme stock or something. It's got no real value. The company makes no money whatsoever. It's just a bit weird that it's worth as much as it is. But if Trump cashes out on that at some point in the next year, he'll be a billionaire. We always laugh about the fact that Trump isn't very rich because he's not really interested in actual day-to-day money. He'd just rather take a loan because you don't have to pay tax on a loan and live off that. He lives off that and just always owes money, and he'll die owing a lot of people a lot of money. But then if Deutsche Bank and investors want to invest in this orange lunatic, then that's their lookout, isn't it? They're not going to get anything back. There's a chance that Facebook or Meta might be split into two companies next year, where we'll have Meta EU and Meta US because it needs to comply with EU rules concerning privacy and antitrust and everything like that. Talking of antitrust, there is a Google antitrust suit that's going through at the moment, a lawsuit that could see Chrome hived off into a different company because they've got too much control over just everything on the internet. And then we've got Section 230 in America, which is about the social media content. So this is the idea that if it came back in the mid-90s, that if you own a social media platform and someone puts something on there that's contentious, libelous, slander, whatever, slam dunk, then the owner of the platform isn't seen as a publisher in the same way that it would happen if you were a publisher of a book. So if you publish those same lies, slander, whatever in a book, and you put your publishing name on it, and you got an ISBN number and all that kind of shit, and you put that on the shelves of bookstores, the publisher could be sued, but they've got a special get out clause for stuff on the internet, basically saying that you can get away with murder, basically. And I agree that the Section 230 needs tightening up. I agree with that entirely. Because I feel like there should be more onus on the social media platforms to take off problematic content as soon as it's put on, right? And there should be real robust fines for this stuff going up. So the excuse in the past was we couldn't possibly, we have like a million posts a minute on Facebook. How can we police all this? Well, we've got AI now, so that can do it. Just look out for problematic keywords or phrases or euphemisms, and as soon as you see one, you just drag down the post. You just say, no, you can't post that. That's it. As simple as that. We've got the tech. You want to ask what AI can do? It can do that. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, I'll probably get it wrong because AI is a little robot that gets everything wrong, but they can do it. The technology is there. But we know that Musk isn't going to use it for X or Twitter. We know that Trump's not going to use it for Truth X or whoever. Oh God, that's what they've got to call it, isn't it? Truth X. Oh Jesus Christ. Truth Social. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then you've got the sort of looking at what we can do in this country, the UK's role in all this, and it's to just watch from the sidelines as everyone else makes decisions on our behalf in the US and the EU. We're not part of either. We just have to sit there, doing what we're told, eating what we're given by the other countries. Because we got our sovereignty back, didn't we, Nigel? Right, moving on. There's also the cost of living crisis is rumbling on. Energy bills are still through the roof, and they will be next year. Ozempic is going to be the most demanded drug on the market. It already is, actually, in the UK, pretty much for non-life-threatening illnesses, I guess. But you're going to have a lot more stories, horror stories of people desperate to get hold of it, buying some shit off the internet, injecting it into their veins, and then dying, or worse. Don't know what can be worse than dying in pain, I guess, with fire where your blood should be. So that there's going to be some of that, I guess. There's going to be the fact that the cost of things is going to go up again, because inflation's still pretty high. I know it's lower than it was when the Tories took it up to 11% in the wake of Truss's mini budget, but it's still like 4%. It's still pretty high, that means that the cost of a pint of lager is still going to go up. Pint of milk, price of a pint of milk is going to go up as well. The looking at the continuing trends on the high streets, you're seeing more and more shops closing down on the high streets and Manchester, Liverpool, Durham, and being replaced by restaurants, cafes, and things. I don't have a particular problem with that. I think that's kind of cool. It's something that you can't buy on the internet. I think it just makes the character a little bit nicer in a city centre. I would like to see more cafes with parasols outside and verandas, so you can sit outside in the summer and drink on the street and pedestrianise all that stuff. I suppose that's something to look forward to in the next few years, whereas shops are just like, buy things, consume. It's like they live, isn't it? Consume. Here's some models wearing clothes, wear these clothes. And I'm not a big fan of shopping, to be honest with you. I think it's just being, lazy sod. I was walking around and then having to pick something up and try it on. Can't be arsed. James Cleverly on LBC, why, says Patrick. I don't know, but it's 10:05. I've been going for nearly half an hour, but I might do a little bit longer today. Although you might need to give me a commercial break while I go and get a glass of water. Let's see. So we've got in sport, in culture to look forward to. We've got a retrospective of Lee Bowery at the Tate Modern. We've got Design Museum has got an exhibition dedicated to the legendary nightclub Blitz. We've got there's a major show from Jenny Saville at the Natural Portrait Gallery, and there's a Marie Antoinette exhibit that's going to be at the V&A, exploring the fascination with lavish historical style. The Great Gatsby celebrates a century in print. So The Great Gatsby, the book by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And there's going to be a high-profile music adaptation of The Great Gatsby that's going to open in London. I don't know how I feel about that. I think if you're going to make a musical of The Great Gatsby, then maybe Baz Luhrmann should have done that back when he made that adaptation of The Great Gatsby. Does it translate? I don't know. Well, they did a musical. Did they do a musical of Sunset Boulevard, or is it just a straight-up play? Because there are lots of parallels between Sunset Boulevard and The Great Gatsby. not least to do with swimming pools, but yeah, spoilers. Sorry. And then we've got there's a new book out by Laura Bates next year called The New Age of Sexism, which tackles AI-driven misogyny and the virtual objectification of women. Women's football. The Lionesses are going to be defending their Euro title. The winners of the Euro competition are unlike the men's team, who have never won it. The European Club World Championship has been expanded to 32 teams to be hosted in the US. And there'll be a Women's Rugby World Cup for people who are into that, hosted in England. And there'll also be an onslaught, apparently, according to this article in The Guardian, of wearables with AR glasses used to enhance spectating and fitness data, apparently. I think that's bollocks. I always think when people have to do something, like people like water, man, they take the path of least resistance. When, this is why Google Glass never worked. I'm not putting something on my glasses that I have to look at and, do all this. I just rather have my phone. It's just easier. But I've been wrong in the past. Once, I think. And in film, there's a film coming out called Architecton, which explores humanity's relationship with concrete. I would rather be given concrete shoes and pushed into the Hudson River than watch that movie. I hate concrete. It is shit. It is a shit building material. I'm not going to go off on a tangent. It is fucking awful. It is one of humanity's worst inventions. It really is. The Brutalist, starring Brady Corbett, starring Adrian Brody, about a refugee architect in the mid-1900s US. I'd rather, concrete slippers, mate. Concrete slippers. And then there's Universal Language, a surreal Canadian comedy set in a Persian-speaking Winnipeg. This is The Guardian's recommendations. That all sounds shite to me. Nosferatu opens on January the 1st, which I do want to watch. Robert Eggers, he did The Lighthouse and The Witch. Very interesting filmmaker. And also, something that I'm more interested in, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is coming out, and he's always a filmmaker to look out for. And then you've got some adult animation, Memoir of a Snail, Flow, and Wildwood, which is coming out. David Faulkner just dropped a super chat in. Thank you very much, David. Merry Christmas to you, sir. I didn't turn my Christmas lights on. There you go, got my lights on now. Thank you very much, David. Woo! I still want PR, electoral reform, and safe routes for asylum seekers in 2025. Let's hope. Well, I want safe routes. I've got to say, considering the rise in support for refuck, I'm not really feeling that enamored with PR at the moment. I'm sorry. Not while the misinformation tsunami is still battering the UK on a daily basis. Until we get the media and social media under some form of regulation, so they can't just publish any daft old racist, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic shit that comes into their heads, I don't think that PR would be a good idea at the moment. I think we need to address that first. The PR I want is press reform, and then we can worry about getting proportional representation. And the reason for this is I am very concerned that the Tories and Refuck will team up. So in a PR situation, we got PR in 2029, which I don't think we're going to get, by the way. But if we did get it, my worry would be Labour gets, say, 35% of the vote, which they got in the last election. The Tories get 23% and Refuck get 20%. Does that sound out of kilter? Does that sound up? And then, Refuck and the Tories will end up with more seats than anybody else, any other one party. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a worry. So we've got higher inflation to look forward to. Retailers are warning of likely price hikes in shops, which we've seen quite a lot of over the last few years, thanks to the Tory misrule of 14 years. Off-gen, the price cap is going up again to £1,738 for your energy bill. I have to say, when I was in first year of university, I was staying at Whitworth Park in Manchester on Oxford Road, and my rent for the year, my rent for the year, I was, in a flat share, whatever, but my rent for the year was less than that. Inheritance tax. So unspent pension funds to be included in inheritance tax calculations from April 2027. So that's going to affect us for a couple of years. And grandparents may start giving more living inheritances to avoid taxes. Good. Put the money back in the system. Stop sitting on all your money like Smaug, okay? Because once you get to a certain age, the state is going to take that money off you one way or another. Because if you get dementia and you need carers coming in 4 times a day, you're going to have to pay for that, right? If you have go into a hostel, it's not a hostel, a home. You go into a nursing home, someone's going to have to pay for that, okay? And it's going to be you. And you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose all the money that you saved all your life. You're going to lose your house. Looking after you, keeping you alive for X many years. That's what's going to happen. So my advice, get rid of the money while you can. Just get rid of it, because then once you've got no money, they can't take money. They can't take money off your children to pay for your care. They're not allowed to do that, you see. So give your money to your kids. Get that money back in the system. Get the money moving. One of the things that the Tories don't understand, because they're all smaugs, they just want to sit there on their big pile of riches and giggle about how much interest they make off their big pile of riches. The way that you make an economy work is by making money move. The more money moves, the more money people make. It's as simple as that. So the more transactions we have, the better, because it means there's more money sloshing around the system. And that's the way capitalism works. Sorry, folks, if you don't like it, don't be a capitalist. Don't live in a capitalist society. I mean, there are alternatives, I'm sure. So stamp duty thresholds revert, causing a likely spike in sales before April. So if you're going to sell your house, sell it before April. And then Oasis reunion concert is taking place next year. Oh, not that arse, to be honest with you. I've seen Oasis like about a dozen times back in the past, when they were at the height of their powers. So, yeah, well, I saw them. I saw them back in 1995, a few weeks after What's the Story came out. I mean, you're not going to top that, are you? You're just not. Although, I have to say, whenever I've seen Oasis live, and I've seen them live a lot of times, they've always put on a good show. I've not seen... Some people have said, they were shit when I saw them, and I never saw that show. The times that I've seen them, they've always, put on a good performance. So, if you did manage to get a ticket for like £3,000 or whatever Ticketmaster was charging, or, great. But, yeah, I'm not going to be first in line for that. And then we've got the environment, Trump's climate denial. We touched on this earlier. This is an incredibly worrying thing. There's going to be a quick rollback of Biden's nature protections and the renewable energy incentives and the Inflation Reduction Act, which was all set up to prime America to have a green transition, to make loads of money out of, going green, essentially. It made moral sense. It made scientific sense. And it made economic sense, but Trump is an idiot, and he'll just do what the oil companies tell him to do, which is we need to burn all the oil. All the oil needs to be burnt. We need to take all the oil out of the ground and burn it as quickly as possible, because I'm only gonna live for another 20 years. I don't give a fuck what happens after that. Yeah. It's just weird. These people who like Elon Musk, who have 17 children and then don't care about what happens to them in the future. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's why I call children sex trophies, because I just think sometimes, not for everyone, but they are just like, yeah, it's sex. Okay, do you care about the child's well-being? Not really, no. There's some terrible parents out there. 3 jobs you don't need any qualifications for whatsoever, that you just turn up on the first day and you're expected to do something really important. Being a prostitute, being a politician, being a parent. Yeah, you're just supposed to know what to do. If you want to be a taxi driver, you have to learn how to drive. And then if you're in London, you have to get the knowledge, don't you? The knowledge. What you have to do to be a politician, you just fucking turn up. To have a mate of yours who you went to school with, who's the local councillor, and says, hey, yeah, I'll put your name down on the list. You seem all right. Anyway, we're looking for another superheated year next year as well. After this year had 20 days above just any kind of normal records that we normally have on average. And it's going to get more droughts, storms, fires, shit going down. And we might hit certain tipping points, which scientists are really, really worried about. With glacial retreat and with melting of the ice caps, the northern ice cap in the north, the North Pole, the Arctic. That's slightly less of a concern because it's like a big ice cube floating on the water. So when it melts, the water levels won't rise too much. Antarctica and Greenland, though. Oh boy. COP30 in Belém, Brazil. This is the last chance climate summit to amid global turmoil. I don't think anything's going to come of it because Trump is the leader of America. And America has let us down. America has fucked us all. Thanks to that, America. By electing a man who doesn't believe climate change is real, for fuck's sake. I mean, seriously, he's got to pull out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement as well. So it's all going to all be a bit shit. So with politics in the UK, we've got it'll be Labour's first full year of power. Keir Starmer under lots of pressure to deliver economic growth, which is going to be very difficult unless we rejoin the EU tomorrow, which I don't think we're going to do. Also, we've got public services on their arse, and we've got the continuing rise in not living standards, but cost of living. And then we've got the economy is crawling along at a snail's pace at the moment, and you know how we're all obsessed with growth because that's how capitalism works. We go for infinite growth with finite resources. Great. Actually, I want to say this about finite resources. The power from the sun that we get is as close to infinite as you can possibly imagine. I mean, it will run out in a few billion years or so, but we're not going to be around then. The sun. Yeah, we should make money out of that using the sun rather than the oil, which is a finite commodity, which probably needs to stay in the ground for future generations to be able to make things like plastics and stuff. Domestic agenda, more renationalisation of rail, new workers' rights reforms, border security legislation, and free breakfast clubs coming from Labour. We've also got immigration policy remains tough, refuck UK, Nigel Farage, pressures Labour from the right, which is not great. We need safe routes putting in. One bright spot on all this is that BSL, finally in British Sign Language in September, is going to be a GCSE that you'll be able to do as a GCSE. Fantastic. We should also be pushing for BSL courses to be free for people with a deaf person in the family or people who just want to train to get BSL. I mean, this is a life-saving language that hundreds of thousands of people in the UK use every day. And it would be really, really handy if the full course to learn BSL didn't cost like £4,000 per person. It's a hell of a disability tax, that, isn't it? Anyway, moving on. So lifestyle. We've got emphasis on small daily splurges as a form of self-care. This is treat culture, glimmer moments, pleasant little joys are set to become a mental health trend. This is probably powered by the likes of TikTok. And in fashion, Parkers are going to come back because of the Oasis reunion. And the designers are increasingly referencing literature. So Marc Jacobs reading our selfies and Bogota Veneta's, I don't even know what that is, collaboration with classic books. Okay, cool. And then we've got books and cafe culture, publishers, designers and cafes focusing on bookish branding. And this is the idea that you go to a bookstore, you pick up a book and read a coffee, and you drink the book to your heart's content, because that's what you do in a book cafe, isn't it? Intersection of reading and style as an ongoing trend. It's a very Guardian, very, very Guardian article I'm referring to here. You couldn't guess, could you? Everyone's going to be drinking coffee and reading books in the future. Yeah, cool. And Leaching, can anyone tell me what's happened to GB Energy? Starmer was championing. It seems to be forgotten about. No, it's in the works. It's in the works. And Gallifreyan ran, dear God, I'm glad I'm in a good mood this morning. This doom and gloom is heavier than a Smiths album marathon. It is. Well, there is a light that never goes out. And that light is the fact that there are some people out there who are fairly decent. And we all need to club together because, God, next year's going to be a fucking ball ache, but we're going to be there for each other. We're going to be presenting shows. I'm going to be presenting shows on this channel all through the year, God willing, if I'm still around. And so's all of our friends, Ollie Bowler Hatman, A. Thompson, Uncle Phil, Super Tansky, Femi Olawale, Marina and Gemma, Zoe, and Abby. So there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us making the content that actually cares about you and cares about the world and the future and our country. It really cares about the country. It doesn't pretend to care about the country so they can go shag a flag. Actually concerned about this country, as in the environment of this country, the animals of this country, the humans of this country. And also we care about refugees and wars going on and things like that. I mean, which the right just don't give a shit about. They just want to shag flags and watch football. But there you go. Who's this? I'm dreading next year if Kendall gets her way and I'll be destitute as being disabled with chronic mental health illness. I'm likely to force off my disability benefits. I really hope that doesn't happen, Sarah. If it does, we will do whatever we can to, I think we should be doing stuff now, to be honest with you, writing to our MPs and making sure that that doesn't happen to you and people in the same boat as you, Sarah. I understand that it's a worry, and I can't really say, don't worry, it's not going to happen, because I can't say that for certain. But what I can say is that there will be a massive backlash if that does happen. And, with the contacts that, not necessarily that I've got, but like some of the people that I know have got, so the contacts of contacts, friends of friends, if that does happen, Sarah, get in touch and we will make sure that that's front page news. It won't be a good look for Labour, will it? Farage won't like book cafes. He's in favour of burning books instead of reading them. Good little Indiana Jones quote there. Thank you very much. I got that reference. Goose stepping morons like yourself. Graham, a personal highlight for me this year has been starting to learn BSL. Brilliant, Colin. That's really good. When's Rachel back on the social? Hopefully next week. But it depends. I mean, Rachel is in a similar situation to Sarah. That it's been a really trying time for people in certain communities over the last few years. Communities that have been relentlessly targeted by the right-wing gobshites, and then a lot of people on the left who we thought were allies turned on people for some reason, because it turns out they're just as bigoted as the people that they, wrote comedies about or wrote children's books to say, hey, don't be a bigot, don't be evil. Yeah, actually, they were rooting for Voldemort all along. Strange. Good impression game. Thank you very much, Captain. I can only blame myself. Daylight Dave, try not to worry. There's not going to be any changes like that. They're talking about the work shy. I know one or two. I also suffer mental health issues, says Daylight Dave. So, Cluster Bungle, my PIP review in October slashed my benefits to a quarter of what I used to get. I've got MS. Oh, shit, man. So make it make sense. I'm sorry, Cluster Bungle, I can't, and I think your story should be told as well, and anyone else who's in the same situation. And for all the people out there who aren't watching this, belly aching about the fact that rich, wealthy landowners who have had land in the family since the days of William the Conqueror are whinging about having to pay 20% inheritance tax when everyone else has to pay 40% on their land value over £4 million. That's not great. That's, people are whinging about that and having marches in London, and yet people like Cluster Bungle, people like Sarah, who are feel like they're being left behind or are being left behind. Who's championing them? Who? I don't see stuff. I don't see stuff in the media. I don't see, people going on mad protests in London. When some rich fuck like Nigel Farage couldn't get a fucking bank account with his Klutz Bank, his fancy Nepo baby bank, because he didn't have enough money in his bloody account. It was front page news for a week in the tabloids. Rich man can't get bank accounts. Millionaire can't get bank accounts in millionaire's bank. It was front page news for a fucking week. He's like, let's start a campaign to make sure that everyone can get their own bank accounts if they're millionaires. Okay, all right. They did offer him a normal Halifax account, but he didn't want that. We are a community. When one of us suffer, we all suffer, says Daylight Dave. I couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. And I one New Year's resolution that I'm going to have is I'm going to put a little bit of time aside every day, probably after the shows. I used to do this after Morning Brews. I'll go over to the Politics Social server, the Discord server, and we'd listen to the radio together. We'd have like a listening party with James O'Brien, but listening to James O'Brien. Might start doing that again because it'll give us the opportunity, during the ad breaks and stuff, to just have a chat and build us up as a community properly, instead of it just being like me talking to my camera and then reading messages that you actually say. We could actually be talking to each other, or face to face through the internet, kind of. You know what I mean? You know that 60% of benefit claimants are working full time. Yeah, exactly. And isn't that disgraceful that the money that people are making isn't enough to live on? That for me is just that needs to be addressed. We need to have a living wage, and this is supposed to be coming in. So hopefully, all I can say about Labour at the moment is they are better than the Tories. Not miles better, but it's like going back to what I said about Gaza. You can either have a moderately centralist government that says war is wrong, we don't want people to die, we don't want people suffering, we don't want hospitals to be bombed and children to be murdered by a state. And then you've got, you say, well, that's not enough. They should be doing this, they should be doing that, they should be doing the other. But then the alternative is literal, decimation. Worse than decimation. Annihilation of Gaza and the annexation of the West Bank, which is coming because of Trump. And also, how do you join the Discord, Politics Social? If you are a member, Gareth T, of the channel, or if you are so you go to YouTube membership, it just says join under the video. I think you can join that way. Or you can go to the Discord. Sorry, not Discord. Hang on, I need to cough 1 second. I really need that water. I'm going to have to go and get some water. Sorry, Gareth T. If you become a member, a patron, a member of the Politics Social Patreon, the link is in the description. It's only like £3 a month or something, and that'll give you access to Discord. If it doesn't, send me a message and I'll sort that out for you. You've got my email now, Gareth, after winning a book last week. Ian McKenna, I'd like them to be more central, as Labour is supposed to be, as opposed to a bit less right than the Tories, but small gains. Ian, I'd like them to be a bit more left-wing, to be honest with you, a bit more gung-ho with the fact they've got a fucking 160-seat majority. Fucking use it, guys. Use it or lose it. Anyway, but yeah, to live on disability benefits and the stress of that is and giving up a good wage. Sarah, you're right, and mental health is something that has been so poorly addressed by the Tory government and exacerbated by the Tory government. People with terrible work-life balances because they're working every day that God sends just to pay the fucking bills that have gone up just at a geometric rate, like a fucking alien growing from a little fucking chest burster into a full-size alien in a few hours. It's like, oh my God, how much does stuff cost these days? £8 for a pint of Guinness. £8 fucking pounds. Mate, 10 years ago, it was not £8. I'll tell you that now. It wasn't £8. Maybe in a fancy fucking bar in London. £8 in the pub for a pint. Are you kidding me? Jesus. Anyway, I'm on limited capacity benefits. Are they going after that? Plus, Rachel Reeves never replies to me, says Vendetta. I don't know. I don't know what they're going after. We'll have to do a show on it. Maybe we'll get Uncle Phil in on a show to talk about this in particular, because he might be able to give you a little bit more support than I can in terms of looking at what the policy of Labour actually is and what it will actually do. Because I'm kind of a bit more reliant on what I read about Labour's policies Whereas Phil has, he's very, very good. And I guess goes back to him being a teacher. He taught for many years. He's very good at looking at, reading between the lines, so to speak, and sussing out, what their intention is, why they're doing this, and what the result's going to be. And what pisses me off is that Labour should be doing this. And we're not going to get back into Labour comms again because it's 10:30 and I really need to go and get some water. I feel like shit. I've been up all night, by the way, coughing. I've a really, really bad cold. But yeah, Labour comms, like, they just are so painfully incapable of communicating what they're doing. And, in a way, it reminds me of, do you remember the TV show The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin? Do you remember that? And he made a shop, a chain called Gross, selling crap that people didn't want. Basically eBay. It's back in the 70s. He had the idea for eBay. And he gets someone in because he's trying to ruin the company. So he gets someone in who's like the worst advertising person ever. And I remember they had these billboards up, but just like, it's just a big load of text. And it's just shite, but people love it. I mean, that's the communications director for The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin. They've got him working for Labour comms, because that's the feeling I get when I see the communications coming out. They're just so crap at telling us what they're doing, why they're doing it, what the outcome's going to be, and they're laying people's fears. They're so shite at it, and they leave it up to political commentators like Phil to do that work for them, which is a bit fucking lousy because they don't fucking pay him or anything. Do you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, don't worry, I'll sort that out for you guys. Yeah, you don't worry. You don't worry yourself with paying an advertising agency to actually do the job properly, you fucking tits. But there you go. Anyway, so yes, Daylight Dave, I'm hoping they don't mess around with benefits, but now I'm making plans to make myself employable while I still have the choice. And a fantastic marketing campaign by Diageo, the owners of Guinness. Well, we could do with a fantastic marketing campaign for Labour, just to explain to us what they're doing and why. Okay, so I'm going to head off now. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be working on the big fuck-off quiz of the year, which is going to be tonight, and I'll probably maybe about 9 or 10 o'clock. I am not feeling the best, so it might not be as fun as it should be. But there are fantastic prizes to be won. Little asterisks on that. Not that fantastic, but yeah, if you'd like to take part in the big fuck off quiz of the year, we'll be doing that this evening on the Politics Social channel. And if you can't make that, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9:30 for another Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for bearing with me through my coughing fits, etc. And hang in there, and we will, work together as a community and make sure that we're all looked after. Because if we do that for ourselves, if we do that for our little community here, then that'll spread hopefully throughout the whole of society. Because you help one person, you help more than one person. It's just the way it works. Anyway, so yeah, pay it forward. Until next time, give us a like on the way out. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.